The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
Oh, hello there. What's going on? Yeah, y'all know what time it is. It is Wednesday night. We is here to talk that sports with you. Gametime Audible in the building. The Nighthawk himself, E-Buck. That's me, y'all. That's me. I'm in the building, ready to talk sports with you. And of course, I can't do it without the man with the master plan, that young looking dude right there. Yeah, getting a little haircut thing, looking all 30-ish and whatnot. That
Oh,
dude,
them great out, baby.
what up, Hugh?
What's up, man? We've been having a good time before the show, man. We've been rocking this last half hour, man. The people ain't know, man. This ALCS been pretty good, but we're gonna get into all
Yeah,
that,
man,
man.
y'all know it's that time of year, y'all, where all the good sports jumping off. And we're gonna have a trouble catching up with some of it sometimes. But let us know what your favorites is as we get into all the seasons. Because we got hockey going. We got the basketball going now. We got football. We got playoff baseball. And soon we'll have the college stuff going in the basketball and the women's college basketball and so on and so on. So we're trying to get to many of these sports that y'all like, that y'all want to talk about. Talk about all your favorite teams and all that good stuff. So, keep in mind, let us know. Hit the email at nighthnetwork313@gmail.com. Let us know what's good for you. In the meanwhile, check this out. I'm about to put it on you today, okay? Because keep in mind, we got two big subjects we need to talk about today. We, of course, need to go through our Google football session and get our football fix for the week. But we also got to get into the NBA, baby. Because they started last night. So we, of course, got to give you our preview of the season and who we think will be good and who ain't, and some of the players to watch and all of that. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit of this playoff baseball with you. So, Hugh, sports guru, it's on you, man. Which one we going to do first?
We're gonna sprinkle the baseball off first, man. And I want to start with we missed this topic last week, man, and we definitely still talked about it a little bit off the air. And do you think my man's abruptly leaving the New York Yankees is going to definitely come back to bite them, man, in this ALCS, which I actually still feel like Houston had a better roster built as far as their bullpen. But did you think that the way he did it, man, you think that was kind of shady? Would that help him actually still get him a job in free agency?
Well, we're talking to Roldis Chapman, people. For those who don't know, one of the best closers pretty much ever. At this point, Aroldis is not the pitcher he once was. He is not that 6'5" dude that hit the mound and you'd be like, uh-oh, it's about to get ugly. He is not that dude no more. He is getting older. That arm ain't quite as flashy. He is not the shutdown closer. And
No.
his pride won't let him be the setup man. His pride won't let him be the seventh inning dude. His pride is as big as that dude Westbrook. Okay, so basically he's kind of like, I can't be the closer. I don't want to be nothing. Now that being said, I'm sure it's being discussed, seeing that basically actually I think they start tonight, Houston and New York.
Yes,
So
I
I
do.
imagine they're talking about, okay, if we get to the World Series, will you show up then? Can we have you then? Can we put you on the roster right now and just have you pop back up for game 2 or 3? Bottom line is, it depends on if Aroldis is feeling like, I'm done. If he's done, then he's done. He'd have made plenty of money. So that ain't the issue. The issue is, can I put my pride aside and just be a part of the team? Because they definitely could use him in that bullpen right now. But yeah, to
That's
answer your question, it definitely was shaky. Continue,
very,
Hugh.
and uncharacteristically shaky too. But we talked about that before he even got to the point where he did that bold move he did. We said, man, people starting to catch up with him, and he ain't throwing that gas like he used to. You can only throw 105, 106 so long to where it started getting down to the lower hundreds. And then once you could, man, even when he was throwing that crazy gas like that, he was just throwing straight down the middle with the four seamer. Man, people gonna catch up and they're gonna adjust to it. I
Well,
just think
I
that
just
he
in
back to
general,
weird.
the people throwing that hard. Remember when he came out throwing 145, maybe 1 or 2 people threw that hard. Now it's like every team got at least 1 or 2 people that throwing at hundreds. They used to
Yeah,
seeing it.
and he been in the league for a long time. Remember, he was with Cincinnati. He went to the Yankees, went to the Cubs for that little second when the Yankees knew they was out of it. And then he came back to the Yankees and continued to make that money because he knew he had got that bag whenever you with New York. I just think, like you said, this pride got a hold to him, man. And he didn't want to be a team player when they needed him because they was like, we basically are going to figure out who we're going to put on our roster. And he said, man, if you don't know for sure, I'm going to be on the roster. I ain't trying to be involved with y'all right now. And he stayed at home. He was like, man, I'm staying in Miami. Holler
And
at me when
look at some of the greater relievers of all time, one of which we recently lost, rest in peace to the great Bruce Sutter. Remember, at one point, he was that guy. He was the closer. But you also remember once he made his way to St. Louis, he eventually became the setup man. And that dude, Lee Smith, was the closer. And we talk about one of the best relievers ever to do it. So if he could do it, why can't you? The great
Yep.
Raleigh Fingers at one point became the setup man as opposed to the closer. Remember going back into the whole Oakland days and Milwaukee, where after he started to lose a little bit, they had other people take over. So this is not a president. I mean, it was even one point where that dude that we see now on Fox every day, the former great starter for a time for the closer for Atlanta. You remember that. But then when they needed more starting pitching, they put him back in the starting rotation, and he did it. So it's all about what you need to do for the team. Stop being selfish, bro.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way. I was disappointed because I'm a huge Yankees fan, man, and I definitely wanted him to come back. I still feel like with the bullpen and just the all around team that they have in Houston, they on borrowed time. I
No,
would
no,
like,
no, 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 no. I ain't about to let you get away with that, Hugh. It's gonna be a lot of I'm sorry this week on the show, y'all. I need y'all to understand that. Let me
you.
explain. No, not just me, you too. The Yankees was gonna lose. That's all I heard from game 3, game 4. And what I kept telling you the whole time, they got this, you. It's money in the bank. I put it on FanDuel game 2. Who's winning this position? Who's winning this series? Yep, Yankees. Dollar. Thank you, FanDuel. Cashed out. Told you, Hugh. That being said, we now got them playing Houston in the American League Divisional Series. That's it. Now they gonna lose. Now they gonna lose. What you think about
I
that?
believe it when I see it.
Now you think they got Houston? They done played
I,
Houston 3 of the last 6 years, man.
I
They
got
ain't
Houston.
that.
I got Houston in 5.
You got Houston in 5, as you should. As you should. Because 2 of them 5 is probably gonna be a young man by the name of Justin Verlander, who pitches extremely well against the Yankees in all parts of the playoffs, whether he is with the Tigers or the Astros.
And it seems like that's when El Tuve have his best games too when they play the Yankees. So and they stacked over there just like the Yankees stacked. They got a stack lineup, but just with people that they actually have and just came up through their organization. That's what I'm starting to like about the Yankees now. Besides some of the guys they have, they did get a lot of good bright spots now from the dudes in the farm league.
True enough. That being said, though, I think Houston got a better mix of power hitters with punching duty hitters. Bottom line is the Yankees trying to do it more so with power. The problem is they don't have home field advantage in this series. The Astros do.
Yeah. But
So
then
you
and
have,
again, man, you've been saying that, and we've been saying that this whole series. We thought St. Louis was gonna win. They got ran out the building. And then we thought that the Dodgers was gonna win. They got upset. Every team besides me, I don't even think I was right on that one when because I maybe said Tampa versus the Guardians. I thought that they were gonna win. But every team we had basically got beat and they got beat down. It wasn't really nothing accurate at first. And that whole night just made me look crazy from the first game to the last. And like if I would have told you right now, we wasn't gonna see the Cardinals and the Dodgers in the series right now, man, you'd probably laughed at me. And they got put
I
out.
mean, because we
And
sit here now literally looking at the Phillies and San Diego in the National League Championship Series. If you had that picked out in your bracket, you
got a lot
very,
of
very,
money.
very smart. And I hope you bet it because that means you done cashed out nicely. But that being said, unless you from San Diego or Philly, that was not the case. And maybe if you was from San Diego or Philly, you wasn't thinking that. I'm sure there's a lot of people in San Diego was thinking, yeah, we'll be all right till we get to the Dodgers, then they're gonna beat us. But surprise, surprise, surprise. We have gotten a whole different thing going on here. That being said, when all is said and done, the team that I felt that was gonna make it from the American League is Houston, and they will make it. I'm picking Philly to go from the National League, and I say at that point Houston wins in 6.
Whoever go be on borrowed time in the NL, but at the same time, man, we've been saying that for the longest, man. So I know more when I see that first game. But like you said, that home field advantage is with Houston regardless, and that might definitely help out more than it will be a disadvantage.
Right, and I got only but wonder if Carlos Correa is kind of thinking maybe I should have stuck around a little bit longer.
Glad you mentioned that because that was the next thing I was about to say too. You came right into that one. What do you think would be the best? I'm gonna give you 4 landing spots for Carlos Correa.
Okay, go for it.
I think right now the best 4 spots for him depends on who would take him right now. I definitely feel like the Yankees number 1 because I know that they was looking for him from the beginning and just didn't work out that way. I'm just telling you how I feel. Then I think he would fit well with San Diego. I would like for him to come here. That's we were so close to getting that guy, and it just didn't work out the way we wanted it to.
And I still say we in the
And I'm
middle.
gonna say a team that would actually I think benefit well from him. I just felt like their pitching kind of surprised me because they didn't pitch as well as they normally do. And it's a low key team too, man. Like somebody like the White Sox.
Interesting. All that being said, I think the best place for him is this team we're looking at right now. I like to see the Phillies pick up Correa. I think that'd be a very good thing for that lineup.
Wouldn't be bad, yeah. And plus, yeah, because they got a lot of power, and then Correa got some nice little pop in his bag too. Because they've been hitting everything, man. And Schwarber, that hit he hit yesterday was probably one of the hardest hits I've seen this year.
And I would say Philly, if they have a weakness, it's probably defensively on the infield, and that definitely will shore up some of that. They do have a good catcher in Real Muto, and they do good at first base. But beyond the realm of that, it's some things they can move around.
Did you hear about well, I know you kind of aware of it, man. They were just basically saying right now they're going to move on from Jose Abreu with the White Sox, man. And I thought we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I would like for him to come here and be the everyday first baseman. But are they willing to give up that type of money right now to get someone like that?
I say they willing to give up that type of money, but it's only for one person. Keep in mind, we still got to get Cabrera off the books, and the only way that's gonna happen is if we basically buy him out, which I don't think he's willing to do. So at least for one more year, we still got to play Cabrera, and then at that point, we got one of the biggest payroll gaps in the league at that point, because outside of paying Baez, we really don't have a lot of high-priced people on the roster.
Not really.
We got Coach V checking into the lineup. What's going on, Coach V? What's happening?
What's up, man? You good?
Hopefully he is, but I gotta be honest, I'm done with baseball. Can we move on?
Yes, sir. That's what I was about to do.
Again, I'm putting the choice on you now. Which one is gonna be? We gonna get the guru session, or we going to the NBA?
I definitely want to talk about the NBA because it was so much good stuff that happened just recently, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about when we was basically,
You know it, Coach V.
yes, sir. We had the situation go on recently with the whole instigation and the whole melee with your boy Draymond, and we know about that, man. And that started to get to the point where it was getting more publicity than I felt like it should. But we ain't gonna really get off deep into that. But now your boy Jordan Poole just landed a new deal. It was like not even after that. His face probably didn't heal from the bruises yet, and he already got a 4 year, $140 million contract. And not only that, now they have your boy Andrew Wiggins with a 4 year, $109 million extension. And now it's looking like where does that leave Draymond Green?
First of all, this is a brilliant move on the part of the Warriors to get all those pieces locked down even before the season started. I think that definitely caused a lot less friction in that because I still say part of whatever happened that particular day at practice has something to do with the long-term goals of both Draymond Green and Jordan Poole. Basically, we're trying to figure out if Jordan's become a little bit more cocky and Draymond not liking that. If Jordan's becoming more of a leader on the team and Draymond feels threatened by that. Was it something just going on with Draymond in general that day? And it just was one of those days. I mean, looking at the game last night, they didn't seem to have too much interaction with one another, but it didn't seem to be a lot of tension with it either. So truthfully, I'm ready to move on from the whole thing. But in the same token, remember, that's not the only issue they have in terms of signing, because not only is Draymond playing on his contract year, but so, of course, is Klay Thompson and Mr. Wiseman. So they have to figure out what they want to do with those two individuals. Keep in mind that they already have the highest salary of any team in the league going into those contracts that they just added to the stack. The question is, are they going to still be willing to pay all that money to keep the band together? Or at some point they're going to say, hey, I don't know. Keep in mind, let's talk about the game last night between the Warriors and the Lakers. Not so much the game itself, because truly it stank. Lakers don't look good, not at all. The main problem the Lakers gonna have this year is one, keeping LeBron and Mr. Davis healthy, and two, finding some consistent shooting. The last night they tried to play your 22 version of NBA basketball, where you shoot a lot of threes and run and gun, and they don't have a team for that.
No, they're not built.
On the other hand, I felt like the Warriors basically took that time to kind of experiment. And I think they'll be doing that for the next few weeks with the lineup, because they appear to be deeper than they've ever been. And not only are they deeper, but they have a lot of youngsters that they want to incorporate into what they got going. So they had different scenarios where, you had Clay and Steph and Draymond play together, but then they had a point where they had Poole and all the young dudes play together. Then they went even further down the bench and started having Moody Kuminga and stuff play together. And a lot of those lineups look real good together. So I think once we get everybody accustomed to working with each other and incorporate it into what they do there on a daily basis, the Warriors looking really, really good. Okay, Coach B is checking in. He is saying things like that happens at any practice. I even had a fight that does have, I mean, keep in mind, a lot of people that are in the know have said that, Coach B, in regards to what happened at that practice. He said that's not something that's not common. People fight at practice all the time. The issue was that it was put out there in the media, because usually practice is much like what happens in the locker room. You know, in the locker room all the time too. I'm sure you can attest to that also, Coach B. But we don't usually know what happened. A lot of that is kept on the low. It's the TMZ of it that I don't like.
I don't like them in the first place.
So that's another story for another show. But yeah, go ahead, Hugh.
How about the game after that? The first game, the 76ers and the Celtics.
Well, basically, I did see a decent part of the second half of that game. Pretty much both teams looked good. Boston looked very good last night, particularly defensively. I liked a lot of what they were doing. They look like they definitely will be stronger. Keeping in mind that Robert Williams, from what I saw, was not in the lineup last night. So that's going to add a whole extra level of defense to them once they get him back 100%. Because look at what we got out of him, and he was like 60, 70% last year. And Robert Williams definitely will have to be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. But that being said, I definitely like the addition of Brogdon. He looked like he fit in just like a glove with them. I actually look for him to get more playing time, because at some point, Smart will probably be out injured, or somebody along them lines, and that'll get him more playing time. That's exact. I mean, basically, they didn't do quite what the Warriors did in terms of testing what they had, but I think it's a good idea at this point. If you're a good team and you know your basic five will be all right, to test out your bench and see what they got going, particularly if you're playing one of them teams that's not quite so good. So not necessarily a team like the Sixers, but like when they get to playing some of the lesser teams, definitely try out what you got on the bench and see what they got to work with. But yeah, it was definitely a good game. All your major stars look pretty good. Definitely was impressed with what Harden was doing. He looks to be in probably the best shape I've ever seen him in, to be honest. And you know, he had moments in that game. Embiid, he basically did some things that I liked, and of course, he did a couple things that we didn't like. I'm sure he will talk about that one. But you know, for the most part, those are definitely looking like two teams that's going to make the playoffs in the East. Go ahead, Hugh.
I know that's Pride Boy and all, but I always thought he was a dirty player, man. And that came out last night. The play, I really was like, man, I was surprised that even happened the way it did. And, you know, they wasn't going to sit back and take that. I think that the frustration started to hit him once they knew that they were down and they wasn't going to be able to catch back up, because that 1-2 punch of Brown and Tatum just was crazy. They went off, man. They both had 33 points each. So that definitely helped with them in their lead and how they distanced themselves in that game. Again, that's the one thing I didn't like, when they kind of figured they was going to. I mean, if you lose, but this is just some of the things that he do and some of the antics that he do, man, make you not too much care about him as a player, and you just feel like it's Bush League, man. I get a little tired of this sometimes. I would definitely like to hear Pride take on that, because I know he saw that play, and that definitely looked like that was something that was necessary, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'll be glad to bring it back up if Pride actually checks in with us later on. You know, he usually will somewhere around the show. But in the meanwhile, I kind of just want to give an overall preview of all the teams in the league, what we think they're looking at. Keep in mind, I think this year is a little different than most years, considering what is available for those teams that don't do so well. When we talk about the number one pick in this upcoming draft, and again, the young man from France, we're going to have to learn his name eventually, because we're going to end up saying it a lot. But the Yambe, I believe is something to that effect. 7'4", super king, does a little bit of everything. He can shoot it. He can dribble it. He's a great defender. He's a good shooter. He has post game. Basically, he's just the type of player that you probably would make on 2K23 in real life. But definitely, he is the number one pick, and there are teams that are willing to do what they got to do to get him. That means tank and tank bad. So right now, I think in terms of the league, we're looking at those teams that's trying to tank it out, those teams that might get into the playoff run, those definite teams that are playoff worthy, and then of course our top 14. So I think we're about to break it all down in that way. And as we do so, we'll basically go team to team because we got fans that got teams all over the country here. So we're gonna try to say a little bit on all the teams. But of course, the teams that's not quite so good, we may not have as much to say about them. But in the end, we're gonna kind of give you a little preview of what we think those teams might do. As we already got some of the early games started. Early on, the Magic is whitewashing the Pistons, 18-6. I ain't liking that. And we got the Wizards early on with the Pacers, 15-9. So that being said, good people, let us give you our preview of who is what and what is who. Let's start with Orlando. They did get the number one pick. He already got 6 points in this game. Do you think that's going to be enough? Pride has checked in to the build. This Lakers roster is one of the worst assembled in the history of the NBA. A lot of junk on that. Definitely a lot of junk on that Lakers roster, Pride. And we will definitely talk about that as we break all these teams down. But go ahead and ask Pride your question, Hugh.
Yeah, man, I want to know, Pride, as far as what happened yesterday, did you see that play that Embiid did, man? And did you think that that was him being frustrated because they know that the Celtics started to pull away and they couldn't make a comeback because it was too late in the fourth quarter? So I want to know because I really felt like it wasn't necessary because what you see was he was trying to grab a rebound and the whole play just looked dirty from his standpoint, man. And that's what caused everybody to get upset on that Boston team. And yeah, he's good at getting in people's heads, but in that case, I really didn't think that was really necessary, in my opinion.
So yeah, if you answer that, we'll get back to the preview. In the end, Orlando will be better than last year, but they still a lottery team. We know that. I don't see them improving too much. What about the Wizards? You see them being any better this year?
Not really necessarily, man. That's why I was surprised that Bradley Beal just end up taking a big payday versus trying to go to a team and compete. I might be wrong. Maybe they will compete a little bit more this year. They had a couple of decent pieces on there. I just didn't think they meshed well, and I think that this year they'll probably improve slightly. But just was really surprised that he took that big payday where he could have went to a contender. And right now it's like the Pacers trying to make a run, and they're only down by a few now, 21-13. But in that case, I still feel like I would be surprised if the Wizards have a 500 record this year. I'm gonna just be honest with you, even if they playoffs.
I can't see that at all. And keep in mind, the key to that team, not so much Beal, but what the big fella Porzingis is he finally gonna show up this year? Is we finally gonna get that Porzingis that we was getting in New York before he got hurt the first time? And of course, do we get any improvement out of Kyle Kuzma? If we can get them three on board and doing some things, that might be enough to get them into the playoff round, perhaps. I'm still a little excited, but if I had to be honest and give an answer, I think it was Bush League out of frustration. Do you think Westbrook should retire? The answer to that is no, Ro. I do not. I mean, just based on what I saw last night, Westbrook still got some game. He absolutely does. But is he still a high-level all-star starter? Absolutely not. Could he be a decent starter on that team? I think he could. Go ahead. What's going on here? What you saying?
I don't think he should, but at the same time, I think that he should take the D-Wade route when he figured that he wasn't the man no more and he had to pump his brakes. They saying let Russ be Russ, but then that's not working right now for him. And I just hope that something else can get done or he can compromise with that team. But then I understand too, because I was hearing when they had the post game with Charles Barkley, and he said he's one of the people that they use as a scapegoat of what's going on and how bad things are in that Lakers organization. And they was like, man, he was really surprised that Westbrook handled it so well. a lot of that stuff ain't on him. I still feel like somebody should tell him and be like, hey, man, we want you to play this certain role because LeBron is still was urging it on last year, saying let Russ be Russ, and no, you can't do that because he's not the same. He's not in his prime, Russ. He needs to take a step back and know his role right now in that Lakers offense. And if he don't, then we already know it's a possibility that he might be gone by the time the trade deadline come around.
I mean, bottom line, Russell Westbrook was not a good fit for that team. He never was. Let's be honest. And the idea where we all know, and it will continue to be mentioned, that they should have went with that initial deal where they were going to get that dude that's now in Chicago getting all them perimeter shots, something that they desperately need to go on there in the Laker country. They should have got him. He was from LA as well. It all would have worked out. Yes, the Lakers did get rid of Carmelo Rose. He is no longer a part of that squad. And from my understanding, he is a free agent. Nobody picked up Carmelo.
I was surprised too. I was a bit surprised because I thought the Boston Celtics was going to pick him up, and I thought that would have been an interesting pickup for them. But they ended up going with what was my man's Gallinari, and unfortunately he got hurt. And then I was like, okay, this is where it's going to happen at now because Gallinari got hurt, and when that happened, they ended up picking up Blake Griffin.
And I still see somebody picking up Carmelo at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers pick him back up, depending on just how trash the rest of that shooting is. Because I look at that Lakers team, and it reminds me very much of that team they had when they had Kyrie, when they had Kevin Love and LeBron, and the rest of the squad was trash. To the point where halfway through the season, they said, you know what? Everybody got to go. Yeah, even you, D-Wade, you got to go. We starting all over. And that's when they got Clarkson and Nance Jr. and so on and so forth. The problem now is that the Lakers not in no good place to do that because most of this trash they got is trash nobody wants, and they don't have no good draft picks for the most part to throw in the mix with, outside of their 27 and 29 first round pick.
That's now, really the sad part too.
Like I said, we'll get the Lakers. I'm still trying to go down the line here. Hold on, people. Basically, we already dealt with Orlando. We dealt with the Wizards. Like I said, neither one of those teams really gonna be doing much of anything. We know this. Okay, let us move on. Basically, we'll just go through the also rans and get them out of the way. How about we do that? Indiana, they going anywhere this year, Hugh?
I think they'll be like a mid-level because I still think the Eastern Conference is going to be kind of weak.
Who and I think that doesn't make you think they're going to be mid-level?
I still feel like the East is bad enough to where you're going to have them bad teams like your Orlando Magics and, you know, some of those guys in the mix. And I still feel like
bad where the Indiana Pacers is going to actually be able to get a playoff spot. Who they got on that squad, Hugh?
But that's
they got Miles, they got Buddy Hield, and then they got who?
Ain't too many people I know, like I said, but at the same time, I think that they probably benefit from a weak East.
Okay, I'm gonna put it to you like this. I'm gonna go through the East, let you know the teams I think ain't about to do nothing. You can forget about the Wizards. You can forget about Indiana. Basically, Pistons not quite ready yet. They might get on the fringe of the round of the playoffs where you can play your way in. That's about as good as I can see them get. Who else we got here? Toronto, I think they're gonna take a step down this year, to be honest.
Yeah.
Charlotte, they keep getting to that playoff round. I don't think they're making it this year. I think they're gonna be on their way down. So that leaves everybody else in the East. Now we can talk. First of all, you got the Knicks. The Knicks did make some improvements, but do you feel like they improved enough to be any type of issue in the Eastern Conference playoff?
Yeah, I definitely like Charlotte, like you said, but I just don't think they're mature enough yet. And they need a couple of sprinkled in veterans on that team, somebody who's been there before that can help them. I was a little disappointed because remember one of the people I thought that'd be good over there, but he could fit with any team. Hey, he just so happened to go over to a team where I really think he gonna be an enforcer. And you still ain't heard the last of the Sixers, man, regardless of what's going on. That guy PJ Tucker being over there with that team, man, is gonna make them pretty strong. But you got your regular people too, as far as if you want me to break down the East, Boss is gonna be there.
Okay, so basically, let's just skip over all the people that ain't gonna be no factor. Let's get to the
Okay.
people in the East worth talking about. So go on here from there.
Atlanta definitely gonna be there. I
I
still
agree.
feel they was a year ahead of their actual time they supposed to have been there. And last year they didn't do as well. They kind of declined. Chicago will be there.
I think
Cleveland,
Atlanta's gonna be better. Injuries definitely affected what Atlanta did last year. They'll be better. Chicago, I don't think they will be. I think
yeah,
Chicago will work. Levine,
depend on
I think
injuries because those guys are not fully healthy right now, man. I definitely
okay.
feel like Cleveland's going to be a better team, especially with getting Donovan Mitchell, and they already was a heck of a team. Don't see the Pistons doing much, like you said.
Like I said,
Indiana
Cleveland definitely is in
fit
the mix.
East, but then when I had to think about it too, I didn't look at these other two teams. Well, other four teams is coming up E, so this might leave Indiana the odd team out because they're not going to be better than Miami. They won't be better than Milwaukee or Brooklyn or New York.
And I
And
see
then
all those teams being playoff teams with maybe the exception being New York.
in Charlotte, you could probably put them in on one of them teams, like a cusp team that would be like number 9 out of like the 10 ranking, who probably still won't do well. But the
If
rest of the teams
Charlotte ends up
really,
being 9, that means the East is truly bad this year.
because I don't see Toronto doing good, man. I don't know how that team even survived, and everybody keep hyping up Pascal Siakam. I don't see it, you
Right.
know. I just felt like they benefited from Kawhi Leonard that year he was there, and now
Agreed.
that you see what they all about.
Agreed. And yeah, then of course I think there's the overhyped dude that's Mr. Van Vliet over there in Toronto. He definitely did not improve any better since that time when Toronto won the championship.
He was just under
I
the
don't think
radar. He
I
was
don't
just
think
under the.
I think he would be a good role player on somebody else's team.
What Price say? I feel that they are
And
using
I'm
Western.
trying to not address prior stuff yet because he's talking about Western teams, and I'm not ready to do the West just yet. We'll get to them. But like I said, I mean, when it comes down to the East, since we basically just want to talk about the teams in contention, definitely Boston's going to be there. Do they repeat and win the East? I don't think so. Definitely Brooklyn will have something to say about it. Again, the keys there is how soon do they get back their shooting? Because keep in mind, Seth Curry and Joe Ingles are not back in Brooklyn's lineup yet. But if they are there, basically where you don't have to have Ben Simmons shoot at all, and he can primarily be a distributor and a defender on your better players, I definitely say that they will have something to say. So Milwaukee will be back because, of course, Giannis is still Giannis, and he definitely one of my choices for MVP as always. Though I do believe this year Embiid finally will win one. But when all is said and done, I basically say it's Boston, it's Brooklyn, it's Milwaukee, and for funsies, I think I'm gonna throw in Atlanta. Those 4 teams will be the major teams in the East this year. But as we all know, as it has been for the last several years, most of the teams to talk about are there in the West. Now we can get to some of what Pride is talking about because, of course, the team everybody wants to talk about in the West at this point, for whatever reason, it's the damn Lakers.
You know
I,
why?
I feel that they're using Russ as a scapegoat. What is best for the team is for AD to be forced to play the 5th and LBJ to play the 4 and 3 and allow Russ to play the 1. Russ without the ball is trash. I really feel like, based on what we're seeing right now, this team, as it's presently constructed for the Lakers, will not stay that way. At some point, some move will be made. The question is when. I say for these first 10 to 15 games, we got what we got. We're going to try to incorporate Russ the best we can. If Russ shows he doesn't really want to cooperate or he starts to play like Russ did last year, I think at that point, moves going to have to be made. Keep in mind, they say there's a deal in the works right now. It's just for whatever reason, either the Lakers don't want to go for it on their end or the Pacers don't want to go for it on their end. Where they basically saying the Pacers would trade Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, basically the only two decent players we're talking about on that squad, to the Lakers for what's left of their first round picks, which is the 2027 and 2029 pick. And then they'll also take Russ's expiring contract off his hands. At that point, it said that Indiana's willing to either work with Russ or basically buy out his contract. If that deal is on the table somewhere for real, I need the Lakers to get on that right away. Ain't no sense even waiting not one more game. Y'all might as well do that right now.
Because I heard that they was dangling that carrot at one point, man, and it just didn't go through. I don't know on which end where it happened at, but you had to be crazy not to take that deal. That was the Pacers telling you that they would take most of his contract too, man. So yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm gonna definitely continue to look into that and see how that escalate.
Right, if you want to have some idea how bad it might get for the Lakers, let's wait till this next game where they play the Clippers. I think that'll give you an understanding because the Clippers are a lot deeper than the Lakers, obviously, and they got a lot more pieces that they fit in. And we see all your comments. We definitely going to address them, y'all. Don't worry. I see you trying to read them all. We're going to get to them, you.
Yeah.
We're trying to do the preview show, man. Stop jumping the gun.
No, I was just looking at some of the comments and laughing.
Yeah, we're going to get to all of that. Trust. But no, like I said, y'all want to talk about the Lakers so bad, let's get them out the way. Bottom line is, if you get LeBron and AD for quality 70 games, regardless of who else is on that squad, I think that's good enough, even in the West, to get them in that round of playoff possibility. If one of them get hurt for an extended period of time, more than likely AD, then yeah, we don't need to talk about it. And if they start to play like that to where they're not a factor, can we please ESPN? Can we please TNT? Can we please TBS? Can we please Gametime Audible? Not be talking about the damn Lakers every week if they aren't good. I'm not going to do it. If it's 2 weeks from now, the Lakers 2-9, I don't have nothing to say about no damn Lakers till they make some moves. We're not going to do like the rest of the media and be on the Lakers Jimmy all year. And they're not good. Okay, can we do that? Can we do that? You?
Dude, I don't even know why you explaining that and coming to me with that. You know, ain't no Laker fan can care less what goes on with that team.
All right, deal. Now that being said, let's get on to some of these other comments here. Dame Dollar isn't too much better than Russ. Say what, boy?
That's why I was laughing at E.
The talking heads like him and don't attack him for Portland's failures. Both are great players, yet neither equal good team. I could no less stronger disagree with that, Pride. I know you do like to stir the pot, but yeah, you done broke out the big metal spoon for that one. Dame is definitely a quality player. Granted, you know, last year injuries definitely marred that. But when you put him versus Westbrook at this point in their career where they're around about the same age, because unlike Russ, Dame, when healthy, can shoot. He does have 3-point range. He has out the gym range. And he is a good defender, a better defender than Westbrook, in my humble opinion. I do not agree with that opinion at all. Do you?
I was surprised he actually said that. That's what made me laugh. I said, damn, you don't think Dame Dollar that good? Yeah, I feel like in a sense, though, he's a good player, but at the same time, I think that what he did reminds me so much, E, and you probably may agree or not agree with me, is he took the highway out, man, and he stuck with a team for the money because he wanted to get that bag versus going to a contender or somewhere where he could compete. He just was settled with getting paid versus being a contender, and that kind of disappointed me in that way because
you talking about Dame Dollar now? Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that either. I think he's very loyal. I think that's what it boiled down to. His Oakland upbringing taught him to stick with your crew through thick and thin. He could have got more money in other places. We know that.
sometimes
He definitely could have made them do the sign and trade, just like CJ McCullough got the sign and trade. I don't
sometimes
think
don't pan out though. But at one point, you got to say he took the money though to stay there because all the pieces disappeared after he got his payday.
And you know he had to sign off on some of that. They ain't just gonna break the team up like that. And he didn't have no say. I know he had some say so when CJ left. Ain't no way they just gonna trade CJ and not tell him and he the man. No
he has some leeway with a lot of them dudes like Batum, Aldridge. Yeah, he had a lot to say.
The problem when he should have spoke up was when they traded the joke.
Yeah, but do you know what was funny to me still to this day? And I want everybody else to chime in on this. They didn't think he was going to amount to nothing, though. That's what surprised me. Yeah, he was a little more overweight.
Yeah, I think that was a key part of that.
Being
as opposed to the Joker at that time, he basically was the more mobile player, the more versatile player. They didn't know that Jokic was going to take that as a big chip on his shoulder and mess around and be in that mode.
I think once the best thing that happened to him, man, and I know for the people who watch basketball, and I know Pride could chime in on this and roll, and even Dame. I'm seeing that. I think that the best thing that could have happened to him was when he did his thing, man, around the bubble. Because I didn't even know he didn't even look like the same damn person. Because at one point I was like, man, who is this dude? And I looked, I was like, man, that's Jokic. Like, man, he lost a lot of weight, and he basically wanted to be a better player. And by him being a better player, he wanted to work on his, weight and get in shape and then, be more versatile. And once he dropped that weight, man, he's one of the most dangerous people. And he can be one of the main MVP candidates every single year. And I basically had to pay homage to him for doing that because he really didn't have to work on his game. He just more or less had to lose a couple of pounds, man. And that benefited for that dude.
Right, as we see here watching Manny Machado hit another home run. Definitely looks like San Diego winning game 2 tonight, y'all. But let's try to get to some of these comments. We just falling way behind people.
All right.
I have love for my Nets to finally win the chip, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll have some say-so. It really depends on the team chemistry. I definitely think I agree with Stephen A. Smith that your boy Uncle Drew is going to ball out this season because he's trying to get his money. And because he's trying to get his money, he's definitely going to show up and show out. KD still KD. Again, I think if you let Ben Simmons be that Ben Simmons, as opposed to the one they tried to force him to be in Philly, you're going to get some good play out of him. And I definitely would like to see Steph's little brother make a better contribution in terms of his scoring. That is that. I mean, bottom line is I definitely see them going far in the playoffs this year. It won't be a first round and out for the Nets. Next question. Really looked terrible on D last night. PJ is overrated. PJ is overrated as a defender, is what you're saying, Pride? I think PJ is definitely gotten older, but I think that would be nice where you will definitely appreciate PJ being on that squad. Any comments here?
Yeah, man, that's one that I looked at, and he's definitely up in age. He's been around for a while, but then I still feel like he's going to contribute to that team, and he's going to be that enforcer. He's going to take a lot off for your boy Embiid. So I'm surprised you ain't as excited about him. Maybe if it get to the point where we get like close to All-Star break and he ain't working out, then I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But I actually think that was a good pickup for Philly. But we're definitely.
We definitely going to take a look at what you get out of Tobias Harris this year too. I think that's another X factor on that squad. Cousin Damon checking in. What up, D? Luka's going to win MVP. It's his turn. Several of the talking heads kind of agree with you as far as Luka and MVP. Speaking of people that came back in better shape, He definitely looks to be that. I'm curious to check out some of that game tonight once we log off here to see what Luka looking like this year.
Oh,
But yeah, I
yeah.
definitely see him as a candidate. I definitely see Dallas pretty much playing as well as they did last year. And they may get a little bit further in the playoffs, but I don't think they're quite ready to crack that Final Four just yet. Yet more Laker comments from Pride. LA doesn't want to part with those picks. No, they do not. Losing Russ won't make the team any better. This will make losing a more enjoyable experience. Bottom line, if you are thinking they are a fringe playoff team, if you can get rid of Russ and replace him with some credible players, particularly Hill that can actually shoot from the outside, LeBron's still LeBron, y'all. He's a little older, but LeBron, basically, if you give him enough vegetables, he can make a soup out of it. It's just right now, they gave him all type of crazy vegetables to work with, zucchinis and kiwis and shit. There ain't no soup coming out of that. You got to get some more stuff to make it a Campbell's. Right now, you're not even going to get a good progresso out of this. Not pot stirring the pot, but prove he's better. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. He's a better shooter than Russ, says him about Dollar, and a better defender somewhat. But also he is a scorer with questionable leadership skills and an underachieving but well liked around the league. And that's the thing. In the ideal world, if you take Dame Dollar and give him some leadership to go on that squad, or put him on the squad with leaders, say the Lakers, and then let Dame do Dame, now we're working with something. If the Lakers can somehow work out a deal with Portland and get Dame Dollar over there, that could make things very interesting, particularly if you can keep AD and LeBron healthy. Those three people, along with whatever pieces they got left, that's something you can work with. And also keep in mind, there's talk about the Lakers eventually making a deal with Utah. But again, the problem being Utah wants those picks. And the Lakers are very leery to give up those picks, particularly the Utah that already got so many up. All right, Pride is now saying Dame plays hero ball the way Portland is set up in certain years, he had to be the hero ball player. They didn't have enough for him to work with in Portland. So, yeah, I get that. And he also says Dallas still needs a real point guard. You wailed on that quite a bit last year, Pride. No MVP for Luka unless Dallas can be top 3 seed. And I
definitely I agree with you on that, Pride, because I think that Luka is a good contributor to the team, but I think he's definitely playing out of position. I feel like it'd be better off for them to have, like you said, a true point guard being a point guard and just having to be the shooting guard, because that'd be even more of a dangerous Dallas Mavericks team. So yeah, I agree with you on that. And as far as what you said about Russ, questionable leadership, not Russ, Dame. Yeah, and I think a lot of that came out from when I seen a lot of the players leaving and him not being that vocal leader and speaking up about it, man. It is certain things there, give or take, but as far as him being better than Russ, he damn right he better than Russ on all levels. But yeah, I definitely feel like they do need a point guard in Dallas, and Luka just need to play a shooting guard position, because if he do, that'll make that team much more dangerous, because with him controlling the ball like he did last year, it was taking a lot away from the other players.
Okay, I'm going to throw a couple names out there. First of all, who do they oftentimes compare Luka to?
I know a lot of people was comparing him to Pistol Pete.
No. They compare him to two people that I know of. One of them, of course, is LeBron James because of his versatility. And last time I checked, yeah, there have been point guards that can play with LeBron James, but he ain't necessarily needed them. He was a good enough distributor of the basketball to where that was not an issue. Now, granted, no, Luka is not LeBron James, but he has a game that is similar in certain ways. Another person they often compare him to is a young man by the name of Larry Bird. Who was the point guard in Boston?
You talking about when? Now?
Period. Who was the point guard when Bird was playing?
Because
E.J. Johnson was no true point guard. You
because
absolutely right. It was DJ Johnson, Danny, and he was
think it's
not no
more.
point guard. Danny
I think
Ainge sure there wasn't no point guard.
you talk about right now, today as we speak.
No, I'm talking about when Bird was playing. Who was the point
Oh,
guard on them
Dennis
balls?
Dennis Johnson, like Dame said, Dennis Johnson was their point guard.
Point guard in the sense of what you and Brad are talking about. So no, I don't think Dallas needs a true point guard when they have Luka. I disagree. Johnson and Ainge, exactly. Neither one of them were true point guards. They were shooting guards at best. Well, Ainge
But
definitely was a shooting guard.
with him playing ISO and doing a lot of the stuff he do, it takes away from the other players being able to contribute. I definitely have to agree with him on that.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I'm
talking about 9 assists a game. Somebody was shooting to get them assists. That was top 10 in the league in assists.
he played too much ISO ball too. You got to admit that.
I agree with you, Damon. He is best with the ball. He should be the distributor. Another person I would compare him to in regards to that. Remember this young man by the name of Grant Hill, who was the point guard on them Piston teams when Grant Hill was playing.
Lindsey Hunter.
He wasn't no true point guard.
No.
He was a shooting guard, especially coming out of college. Joe Dumars was the other guard. Of course, he was a shooting guard. Grant was better when he had the ball, much like he's saying with Luka. Prior to saying the difference was back in the day, Bird didn't bring the ball and hold it forever.
Yep.
Now I agree with that. That much is true. He did get what he needed to do with it.
Crossing. Sometimes he holds the ball too much, and it does damage more than it does good. Because some of the guys who needs to get the ball and who needs to for him to distribute the ball, he was taking all day doing too much dribbling.
Yeah,
that's why I was.
How many chips did Grant Hill win point taking? But then how many chips has LeBron won? Doing basically the same thing. But more times than not, no point guard. Now, granted, there was times when he did have a point guard. Kyrie was on some of them squads. And he definitely is a point guard. He's just a shooting point guard. So it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is Luka, I think, could do it without, particularly if you have better shooters around Luka. I think that's the key for Dallas. You need more quality shooters around him. That's why I hate that they gave up Steph's little brother. That was a very good fit for them.
I didn't like that myself. I agree.
If you would have had him with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Luka, I think you'd be looking at something right now. If Dennis Smith would have worked out for them, remember that?
Yeah.
We'd definitely be looking at something different than that.
It was some guys they let go that I questioned and I wasn't too happy about because I'm not trying to bash Luka either. Respect what Dame saying and respect what you saying because I'm a huge Mavericks fan too for when they had Dirk and Nash. I still like that team, But yeah, sometimes, man, I just want him to do a little bit more as far as getting people involved because Luka gonna get Lucas, man.
Yeah, I just want more. Now, the argument I would give to y'all is yes, at times Luka looks like how when your boy was in Houston, and oftentimes the ball would kind of just stop with him. That being Harden, we talking about. Now, Harden, not necessarily a point guard either, but he's more point guard than anybody else we didn't mention. Because on a good night, you can't get a triple-double out of Harden. You damn near did last night. But the issue is you can't take the ball and play hero ball with it all night. And I think that's the point that Brad is trying to make with it. It does seem like there are certain nights where the ball is in Luka's hands all the time. And if Luka is working the ball, nobody's moving around, there is no motion. If anything, I would question the coaching in Dallas with Jason Kidd. He should understand better than anybody that if you have a bigger guard or a forward that can do with the ball, that you got to have people around him that can shoot it. You got to have people to motion and move around. Much like when you get Golden State, because at times it's not Steph the one bringing up the ball. You know who brings up the ball for Golden State half the time? They put it in Draymond's hands, and he's the distributor. And Lord knows he can't shoot worth a damn. It's days a lot that Brunson was on the milk carton until Luka was hurt, but blossomed in Luka's absence and led to go to the rotten apple. I am curious to see how that works out for them. I think it would have worked out much better if they had Mitchell and Brunson to go with
I did,
RJ
and,
Barrett and such.
and I just want him to work on his leadership too, because I didn't like some of the times when he didn't get the ball, or he didn't get the plays, or he didn't get the fouls that he wanted. How he would just be laxy daisy, and you'll see him huffing and puffing and not really trying to put in no.
We back to talk about Luka. Yeah, now that I agree with. It was times his age and lack of maturity did come into play. I agree. But then, like I said, I watched over the summer as he played in that Euro tournament. Luka definitely is capable. I think he is. He led that team. Damon, he still insists he is winning MVP this year. Well, folks, we'll definitely keep y'all picks in mind. As for MVP, my pick is probably Pride's pick. That's Embiid. I think Embiid finally does win MVP this year. What do you think, Hugh?
A year too late. I definitely like Embiid chances.
Yeah, because I definitely do not see the Joker winning 3 years in a row.
I wouldn't be surprised if Luka won it, but at the same time, he, like you said, he had to show more maturity, be a leader, and do a lot more, on that level.
Cousin D say, I'm a diehard Lakers fan. Well, it may be a very long year for you, bro. It very well could be. Like I said, this current team as constructed, I don't see them getting far. I see a lot of nights where they get blew out of existence. But that being said, I don't see them leaving it as is. It's the Lakers, and much like Kanye, they like to get talked about. So if we get to a point where we stop talking about the Lakers, that's not going to sit well with Laker fans or Laker brass. So I definitely see them making some move at some point. I still say, as me and he constantly talked about in the offseason, they should just go ahead, cash out young Westbrook, let him do his thing, and then go from there. Who's Luka leading over there for real, for real? Like I said, I know they got Luka. I know they got a couple decent big men over there. And I know they got Hardaway Jr. Outside of that, I don't know much of what else they got over there in Dallas right now, especially since Brunson is gone. So you may have a point on that one too, D. But so trying to go back.
He might still be shooting like crazy then.
Right. Now, of course, we done audible out of audible. So I don't know how we got to this whole debate. I appreciate y'all though. Thank everybody for chiming in. But can we get back to the actual preview?
Let's do the Final Four in the West.
Yeah, let's do it that way, because y'all ain't gonna let us do it no other way. Y'all got three teams that y'all see. Pride won't let it go. It was like a video game that was licensed to use the NBA teams and players' likeness. Oh my God. Lakers, please do something. Otherwise, you're gonna make this a long year for me too. I do not want the Lakers if they're not gonna do nothing. Speaking of the teams that I think actually are gonna do something. All right, who is your four, Hugh, coming out?
Man, first and foremost, it's stacked as hell over here on the West, man. I'm looking at some of the teams. Absolutely. I'm not gonna say most of them in order, but I'm gonna say Golden State.
They definitely gonna have something to say about it.
With Phoenix, I'm gonna go with Memphis. And
I don't know so much about Phoenix. Hold on, let's go back to that Phoenix for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of concerned about Phoenix. Understand, Booker, of course, will still be good. We still got some decent defense over there. They got a nice bench in Phoenix. The whole key to this year's Phoenix team is two players. Is Arden going to improve any now that he has the big money? Are we going to get any better play out of Arden? And my second question to you, Hugh, is Paul done?
I'm definitely thinking he on the cusp. He got 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
I go with that. And as for Aiden, your thoughts?
If I had to eliminate somebody, it possibly would be them. But I still feel like you're gonna have Denver gonna have something to say about it too because they're gonna get healthy. Just Jamal Murray, Porter Jr. and that's definitely a team that we wanted to see last year. And
I definitely need y'all to pay attention to Denver this year, y'all. That is definitely one of the sleeper picks to look out for. Particularly if Murray comes back to 100%. Okay, we got Damian with his 4. He says
I didn't even think about the Clippers. Yeah, I didn't even think about the Clippers, but it's so hard in the West because they so damn stacked too, man. I wouldn't even lose no sleep saying that too, though, man. But I'm glad he definitely put Phoenix in there too. Thanks for bailing me out, Dave.
Well, again, I like that Memphis pick. I'm not really sold on Phoenix. Here's my problem with the Clippers. I'm really concerned as to what we're going to get out of Kawhi. They've already talked about the fact that much like with your boy Klay Thompson over there at Golden State, he's going to be on a pitch count. So we're not going to get Kawhi playing full games, particularly early on. We'll probably get a situation much like last year before he got hurt, where he's not going to play back-to-back nights. He may not travel on the road sometimes. If we only getting part-time Kawhi, it's hard for me to put the Clippers in that mix. Granted, the Clippers are a deep team, and I definitely feel like if they can get a semi-healthy John Wall, that would definitely help the situation. But I can't really put Clippers in there. I say the team I would put in instead of the Clippers is the team that a lot of people ain't giving as much respect to, and I think they should. And that's the New Orleans Pelicans. Look out for the Pelicans, people. Particularly if Zion is going to be healthy. We get a healthy Zion to go with that mix they had last year. They're going to be a prop.
That's a huge if too, E, with your man Zion, man. He definitely got to prove it. This will prove a year for him, man.
I mean, granted, he's got his money too now, so you do have to wonder how motivated he is to play his best ball. And the fact that he got hurt even in the preseason does leave you some cause for pause. But I'm just saying, when he is healthy, some of what we've been seeing, it made me really, really like what could happen over there in New Orleans. All right, prior to saying, hold on. Coaching is pretty bad. CP3 is looking old, and Aiden is a question mark. They should win a lot of games, but I think their day in the final. Yeah, I agree with all of that, Brad. The Clippers are deep. I agree with that too, D. Ingram is questionable also. In terms of his staying healthy, yeah, I can kind of get that. I really wish he would have put on some more bulk at some point, but I think that's the Ingram we're going to get, y'all. That being said, the reason why I like Zion being a part of that mix now because that do take some of the pressure off of Ingram. Early on last season, Ingram had to be that guy. He don't have to do that now. You got Zion. You got CJ to take some of that scoring pressure off of him. Pride said Kawhi needs to cut those braids and move to the future. Now, if anybody needs to cut their hair, it's two people. One, yes, KD. Please cut that taco meat out your damn head. Please, KD, please. And two, Andrew Wiggins. What the fuck, bro? Andrew, tighten it up, bro. Y'all seen Andrew last night. Tighten it up, bro. That Sideshow Bob cut you had, I wasn't feeling that, bro. You just got all that money. Come on now. Get it right. Tighten up. Go to Steph's barber. He had the crispy taper last night. Go on, hook it up.
KD big had money. He just don't give a damn.
His overall play is questionable. Talking about Kawhi. Y'all crazy, but so true. Yeah, you know KD head looks straight like taco meat. Come on, cuz, come on now. If we came to the cookout looking like that, we get roasted by the fans. You already know. I never hit Uncle B. What up, Uncle B? He'd be like, man, what's wrong with your head, baby? Why you feel look like that? I can't do it.
We agreed on something too yesterday when me and he was talking.
Before we move on, since we clowning, Marcus Smart, what's up with that green spray paint afro you had last night?
It's weird because it's starting to seem
okay about the head. I need you to tighten your feet up too, bro.
it's starting to seem like it's a Boston thing. Because I don't get me wrong, Jalen Mills is trash. But when he was in Philly, he had that green hair and he brought it to Boston. And then now your boy got that same crazy look, man. Marcus Smart, that looks terrible.
KD got that mange mixed with lights, yo. It is not a sexy look at all, sir. Not at all.
He got that pad looking hair, man.
You got 200 plus million on the books. That's what you rocking with?
Just rock the baldy, man.
Man, ain't no shame.
And you seen that when he said like he said.
Yeah.
And he don't use lotion, man.
Yeah, he do.
He
look
was
like
so ashy one game where he
do like long ashy Larry too. I agree. But okay, but wait a minute. I know some people we done lost in this mix somewhere. Okay, we already talked about Ghost State, New Orleans, Denver. Is Minnesota gonna do anything? You see them doing anything this year?
You know, I don't dig your boy Rudy Gobert, man. You know, that's one thing I could say. I'm not a Rudy Gobert fan, so I'm always go against any team that got Gobert.
I mean, I must admit, I like Edwards. I like Edwards a lot. I think where Minnesota messed up at is, yeah, the Gobert thing was one thing, but they should have kept your boy, Patrick Beverly. He gave them some heart that they didn't have. And they need that. They don't necessarily need that heart in the Laker country like they need it in Minnesota.
That happened.
I'm surprised they let him go too. Okay, another team, Sacramento. You see them doing anything this year?
Come on, man. We ain't even gonna talk about Sacramento. Hell no.
I don't know. They do got some bonus over there now, don't they? I like that dude some bonus. Oh wow. We see Tubbs on teams like that, babe. Okay. Meanwhile, Pride. If I was KD, I'd get that Chris Jericho extensions like fuck it. Hell no. If I be looking at Damon Wayans from Men on Film with the ball head and the bang, oh, all right. We honey roasting his ass now. I see how we doing. All I know is here's the real thing. We got two things going at the same time. On the one hand, we got teams trying to win the championship, and then we got the de facto championship because several of these teams are looking at in the West. They definitely are going to go into full tank mode, trying to get Wadaba or whatever his name is. We're going to have to learn that dude's name, okay? The French dude. When we talk about the French dude, y'all know who we're talking about. 7'4" with all the skills you can use and then some.
Yes, sir. With pride.
Teams like OKC and Utah and and the Houston Rockets, it's gonna be a lot of tanking going on. Lots of tanking.
Dark tank.
And like I said, in an ideal world, if I had to make a choice as to what team in the West I would want him to go to, I want him to go to OKC. Because you put him on the floor and then Holmgren comes back next year in any type of state, they could get real dangerous real quick.
It ain't the fact he wasn't in shape, it's just he too fragile.
That dude was Glass Joe.
The Kings are the Lions of basketball. Absolutely.
Now, see, normally I'd be mad at you, Pride, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. They do just enough to say I'm a team. That's about it. That's about it. But yeah, bottom line is I'm definitely looking forward to the NBA season. I think it's gonna be a lot like what we got in this NFL season so far this year. A lot of parity, a lot of nights where you think you know who's gonna win and they not. Outside of the tanking teams, of course. Bottom line is, if you want them gambling folks, like to get your fan duel on, you know about the 4 or 5 teams that's gonna be in full tank mode. You want to bet them early and often to lose and lose big. Y'all know how we do on the show. We got our favorite team we like to bet against, here on Gametime Audible. What team is that, Hugh?
The Seattle Krakens.
Them Kraken, baby. Them Kraken got me straight, okay? Whenever you get down a few dollars on your betting, go ahead and bet them Kraken to lose. They rarely let you down. If not them losing, them not getting the under. Because some nights when they give up the goals, they give up a whole bunch of them. So that's just our betting advice. When all else fails this year, we're going to bet on OKC to lose and them Kraken to lose and get that money. Now, meanwhile, as we about to transition to the football, trying to bet on it lately is a whole nother story.
We was looking at each other, son. This is the first time I betted in a long time. I said, man, what do I got to lose? Everything.
25 and 50 cents in the dollars last week on them games. We definitely gonna talk about them. But let's finish up this basketball talk first. I'm done making jokes. I'm looking at Golden State, Denver, Clippers, and Phoenix for the top 4 seeds. Okay, bottom line, people. Here's what I got, y'all. I'm going Golden State in the West. I'm going Philly in the East. I'm going Golden State back to back. What you got, Hugh?
Mine's going to be slightly different. I definitely got Golden State going back. I'm going to have Brooklyn have the say-so in this. But then I think it's going to be them still going back to back. All
right. A lot of people have that particular too. In fact, with Golden State and Brooklyn. A lot of people calling for that. Damon or Pride, if y'all still in the building, let us know what your picks is. Bro, if you still here, let us know what your picks are. We will definitely write them down. So when that time comes, you could be the one to be like, I told you so. Nah, usually it's me that can tell y'all that. But last week, not so much. Especially when it came to this football. I owe a lot of y'all some I'm sorries. And when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to get into it. We're going to jump into that Google football session. And basically what we're going to talk about is how, now particularly in the NFL, we don't know who the hell going to win. Might just be Philly all the way. Who knows?
I was mad as hell last week, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of frustration going on, but we'll definitely talk about it. Oh, by the way, I would be remiss to not bring up this particular individual in our conversation.
Oh, yeah. I see some more news.
Brittany Griner, the fuck! Happy belated birthday to Brittany Griner, by the way. It was her birthday yesterday. And she had to spend her 31st birthday behind bars for some bullshit. And for the 2 people that always want to mention in the comments, well, she did have the weed. It is against the law over there in Russia. You know that law is bullshit. They know she was smoking. Her teammates probably sat there and smoked the vape the night before. Come on now. You know good and damn well she is not in jail for that little bit of weed. You know she is a political pawn in this bullshit. You know Putin using her to make a point. It's stupid. Not to mention the fact that she is a person of the alphabet community, and you know they don't look on that well in Russia either. That definitely plays into it too, unfortunately. Bottom line is her ass needs to be home. And I'm so proud of Steph Curry for before doing anything in regards to their ring ceremony like last night, pointing both that out and wishing her a happy birthday. Oh yeah, there's definitely some of that in play too. Definitely playing the race card on there. But no, we is not gonna let Brittany be forgotten on this show until she is back home where she belongs. So we have to do this for the next 9.5 years of her sentence till she get out. So the hell be it. This Gametime Audible, damn it, I'm mad. It's time for a commercial. Got my girl locked up. Stop the injustice. Tell them about it.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Viewer discretion is advised.
This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Join us as we talk trending topics, world and local issues, and the conversations that we need to talk about as people. Get Off My Lawn Live is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game Sports Blog with the sports guru, QD Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it. The views and or opinions expressed here on Gametime Audible is that of the host and or guests, and does not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its affiliates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised. All right. We back at things. Gametime Audible in the building. Me and the sports guru, Hugh Lee. I'm sorry, y'all. I did get a little upset last end of that segment. Whenever I get to think about Brittany rotting in that cell for bullshit, can't help but be mad. But that being said, let me also say to you, Pride Hunter, show watcher extraordinaire, we do like when you stir the pot. You do bring up valid points always. Please continue to do so. I'm not saying you do things to discourage you from doing your thing. Please do your thing. We always want all opinions, as long as they respect your opinion. We enjoy and respect them all. That being said, it's time for me to step aside, put me on this other side right here, and put you in the big boy chair because it is time for the Guru's football session. It's on you, Hugh. What we doing, baby?
I want to start first by saying how very disappointed I am in Crimson Tide. First and foremost,
y'all, here we go.
Now they're number 6 and Tennessee is number 3, so they kind of swap places.
Didn't I tell you
both of their defenses was horrendous, but I never thought that I would see a day in my life for a Nick Saban Alabama team to give up 52 points. That was one I wasn't sure about, and I thought definitely they can definitely get upset in that one. It wasn't really too big of an upset being in Tennessee, but it was just the fact that how poor Alabama played on defense, man. And they end up getting a lead and couldn't even keep it if their life saved them, man. And their life depended on it. I just really felt like it was just poor defense. And for guys that they're ranking like Will Anderson and some of the players that's like ranked high as far as the NFL and going into the draft, I don't know, man. They need to reconsider. I more or less think, too, it was more or less how bad the cornerback play was because those guys are rookies, but that ain't no excuses. They all, when you're from the factory, you come from a line of people who can start on any team. Like that's where you decided to go. But I definitely had to say, you kept saying I'm worried and, I'm blowing things out of, proportion. But you got to admit now after you've seen that game, that team defense is trash.
Okay, let's go there. First of all, with you saying what you said, one, you're not giving Tennessee enough credit. Tennessee looked damn good offensively, okay? And against an Alabama team, granted, not an Alabama team that you are used to seeing. This is not your cousin's Alabama team. This is not the team that's going to have 10 or 11 people coming up in the next upcoming draft, but still a lot of good up and coming people on an Alabama team. And this was definitely a good test for them. But let's look at the real reason why Alabama lost that game. Because keep in mind, offensively, Bryce Young, who is clearly, in my opinion, not 100%, he did everything in his power to help lead that team to come close to winning. Okay? That dude, in my mind, is the number one pick in the draft beyond doubt. He reminds me a lot of that dude Mahomes. He makes things happen, baby. You feel with him on the field that you could win. Part of why they did not win was not only just the defense. If you look at the penalties they had in that game, a lot of penalties for definitely not typical of a Nick Saban team. That is
not at all.
Features, okay? They talked to Will Anderson after that game, and he felt that the team was tight even before they took the field that day. Basically, they got caught up in the hype. Keep in mind, I told you last week before that game that Tennessee was not going to be an easy environment for them to play in. You see what it looked like. You had, from just a pure college football enthusiast, a fan of the game, you had to love that environment that was going on in Tennessee. It was off the chain in that board. And at times, it did rattle the Alabama players. I have no doubt about that. They did become rattled. That's why we got a lot of those false starts and the pass interference and whatnot. They were not comfortable. They didn't play like they do when they play in Alabama. Second of all, I said all along, Hugh, that Alabama would not finish this season undefeated. And in fact, I don't think any team in the SEC will. Georgia, they come into it.
Yeah, because it's two souls still on Georgia, man. But yeah, and what was unfortunate about all of this experience too, Ian, this is just between me and you off the record, man. I was going through a lot Saturday, so I definitely barely get the game like I wanted to.
Basically, going through a lot in general anyway. For those who don't know otherwise, it has not been a fun life for Mr. Lee. Please keep him, as he asked me to do, in your prayers. I know we doing our show and feel like everything's all right, but behind the scenes, we be going through some fine. But do know that we got each other's back, and some of y'all got our back, and we appreciate and love y'all for that. Just to say that off the record. Now back to the show itself. It wasn't just Alabama and Georgia that was playing funky last week. It was a lot of them games where we thought, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, this was about to happen, and that was not the case. So it's a lot of I'm sorry's to be said. Another perfect example, let's talk about my team. Since we always talk about Alabama, might as well bring up Michigan, because we usually going to talk about that one too. I thought it was going to be a tight game, a close game between them and Penn State. It was not the case.
They dominated on the run game.
And truthfully, if not for a couple little mistakes that was made, it could have been an even bigger blowout.
Yeah, didn't too much care for that McCarthy interception, that pick six. That was something I think that he could have lived to see another day after that play.
And keep in mind, that was the one that he did make that went back. Then the one that could have been a pick six, that was a very ill-advised throw. McCarthy, I understand you're a scrambler and whatnot. You are not Patrick Mahomes. You are not Lamar Jackson. Let's see less of that. Let's not do that anymore. That was a bad dude. But that being said, Michigan handled them rather easily, and I was stunned by that.
Yeah, they put a spanking on them boys.
Meanwhile, Michigan State actually won. I was stunned by that as well.
Who you telling?
I thought Wisconsin was better than that. Clearly they wasn't.
Damn, did they fall from grace? That always been a great team. Like they will always have decent as far as when it came to offense. They probably don't be the greatest, but their fundamentals was so helly sound, man. It was just hell of a sound. And when it came to, just being a disciplined team, offensively, defensively, special teams, all phases of the game, we usually look at Wisconsin and we respect them. Man, they got a lot of adjustments to make, man. I definitely don't see them doing that this year, but yeah, they're gonna have to hit the reset button over there.
Yeah, I'm starting to agree with a lot of the talking heads. When it come down to the Big Ten this year, we basically got two teams worth talking about: Michigan and Ohio State. That's it.
Yeah, not as strong as it has been, but if we get some of these transfer schools over there, we definitely gonna have something to talk about. And I want to talk about one of the games that we were looking at, and I end up stopped watching it because it started to get into the point where I thought it was a laugher. But damn, man, we definitely have to give props to Utah, man, because that USC.
You've been throwing Utah in my damn face all season, but yeah, I gotta give them some credit. Like I said, I was watching that USC game too. I thought it was over with. I turned it off. I thought it was a done. Woke up like, who you say won? What is that? It was definitely one of them situations. So yeah, again, yo, like I said, we made our picks last week. A lot of our picks sucked. Lost a lot of quarters and 50 cents and dollars on this one. Real
especially that, man. Oh my God, I don't even think I'm gonna bet this week.
Nah, we still got to go there. But bottom line is, y'all remember when all this fails, go Kraken.
I'm starting to think that Sacramento looked pretty nice too in the NBA.
I definitely like it. OKC and Utah. Them, like I said, I think I'm gonna be the versions of the Kraken too.
Yeah, they gonna deal Clarkson soon, man. I'm surprised they still kept him for this long after how they deal with everybody else.
Well, yeah, like I said, I definitely see Utah making them final deals. And again, since we talked about Dame Dollar, would not be surprised if at some point he finally gone ahead and let Portland pull the trigger on getting him somewhere else too. And just let Portland go ahead and tank too.
Let me hit you with this audible. The Pistons are actually up 5 now. It's 55-60 Pistons.
That's what I'm talking about.
Is holding on to a small lead, 60-54 against the Pacers. The Rockets are down to Atlanta, which I've seen coming, 53-44. The Pelicans are up kind of big on the Nets right now, 47-33.
The Pelicans are 51-33 right now. That's the stunner of the night so far.
Which game?
Pelicans up 51-33 on the Nets.
Oh, so they yeah, you're right. They just hit a shot. Yeah, that's not looking too good. Dang. And, the Heat are up on the Bulls. I could definitely expect that.
Yeah.
What's to me right now, the shocker. I know you probably looking like what the heck going on too. Cavaliers and the Raptors are tied. Still an early game.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised by that. I still think Cavaliers pull that out.
The Knicks getting blew out by the Grizzlies 51-37.
Not a surprise.
The Wolves is in the first quarter, but the Wolves are up 18-13, and the Hornets are 25-20.
Who Minnesota playing?
Minnesota, they playing the Thunder.
Man, if you don't get up out of here with that, ain't nobody trying to hear that.
It's relatively close right now, but it's still early.
Nobody cares. Ain't neither one of them teams going away. Hornets, Spurs, don't care about that either.
Hey, how do you feel about TCU upsetting Oklahoma State? Do you feel like that was more of an upset, or you just feel like Oklahoma State was overrated?
Now, you know I'm about to go through my whole usual spiel about how I feel about the Big 12, the no defense conference. Man, when all is said and done, the only way you get a Big 12 team in the playoffs this year is if all the other teams and all the other conferences beat up on each other, and we basically got no undefeateds, and we got a lot of teams with 1 and 2 losses. In which case you could think about it. Bottom line, you're gonna get teams from these 3 conferences in the playoffs this year. You can book it. It's either gonna be the Big Ten, the SEC, or the Pac-12. That's it. So I ain't trying to talk about Oklahoma State, TCU, Baylor. I don't care about none of them. I don't see none of them getting it. And when they get there, if they get there, they're gonna give you that. Don't care. Don't care. Kansas lost this week to Oklahoma, and we all seen how bad Oklahoma been. And Kansas still only lost by 14 with the backup quarterback. That lets you know everything you need to know about the Big 12. Sure.
All right, we about to hit off into the NFL now.
Well, hold on. It's a couple more games I want to bring up. Minnesota, Illinois. Guess what? Illinois trying to do something this year. Do you think they're going to be a factor at all?
I think so, man. They definitely been making good strides, man. I didn't think I even really paid no attention to them, but then I start hearing people barking about them and how good they are. But yeah, it's surprising too to see them actually being ranked, man. When I saw that, I was like, okay, maybe I should be paying attention.
20 this week, Hugh.
And you know what's crazy too is the fact that it seemed like soon as your boy left and came back to the NFL, that's when they start to make their mark now this year.
Well, remember, the coach they got over there now is Bienema, the former coach of Wisconsin, which kind of explains why Wisconsin ain't quite where they need to be and why suddenly Illinois is. He is the one that helped establish that along with his predecessor.
Because I was surprised that Lovey didn't really do as good over there, but as soon as these guys came over, they just changed everything, the whole complexity of, that system.
Well, you got to know the reason why they have been successful, the same reason why teams like Kansas have been successful this year. Teams like Utah doing better. Definitely the reason why USC is doing better. The good old transfer portal. You get the right kids from the right places, and guess what? You are suddenly in the mix. I think that definitely will be the case also this year in college basketball. As we're going to give y'all a little preview of the rankings before we head out this evening. Oh, yeah, before we do that, let's get into this pro football. What you got for us, Hugh?
Okay, man. It's already been a weird week, man, but Aaron Rodgers and the Packers struggling.
No. Before we go on to any of the games, we got to talk about the NFL news of the day.
Oh,
right now,
cool. You talking about the Amazon news?
You said what now?
You talking about the Prime news?
No, not that one. I'm talking about the Dan Snyder news.
Man, I really think right now it's to the point where they're going to boot him out. And I heard now that he was retracting some of the comments that were said when he said, "Don't F with me." I'm hearing now he like, no, it wasn't like that. ESPN trying to stir up everything, and that's not true. And he basically was saying he didn't say any of the above and what was going on. And he basically trying to do what he could now to try to save any last attempt for him to keep that team. But I was surprised when Jim Irsay said what he said.
And that's the thing that's got everybody talking today. Keep in mind, we're talking about Jim Irsay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, a person that's notorious for some of the things he's done in recent years, particularly with dealing with things such as drug and alcohol abuse, among others, transgressions. So when you got Snyder talking about, y'all better be careful, I got dirt on some of the owners, you talk about one of the dirtiest players in the game speaking out saying, yeah, he got to go.
That's crazy too, because he said 24.
They wanted Irsay out. You remember that?
Yeah. So how did he get back in good graces? That's what I'm looking at, man. And if you got 24 teams out of 32 want you out, man, that's not really looking too good. That's looking like that's just he on borrowed time, and that's eventually going to happen probably this season.
And see, here's the thing. There are also groups of individuals that's encouraging the NFL to put him out. One of the main reasons because at that point, he's forced to sell the team, and that team becomes available. And as you know, there have been several people speaking out on saying how the NFL needs a minority-owned team. Now, granted, they do actually have one. We consider the owner Jacksonville is actually a minority-owned, a person of color, so to speak. But I definitely would like, if they are going to force that team to be sold, that it is sold to somebody with at least some type of African American ownership, particularly since it's in the Washington, D.C. area. White and rich, absolutely, man, absolutely. The old boy network definitely comes into play with all of that. But that being said, remember, Dan Snyder paid $800 million for what's now the Commanders. So based upon the going rate, remember, Denver just got sold for damn near $5 billion. So you imagine the Commanders will go for even more. And in the end, he'll still make a profit out the deal. But it's just that because an NFL team is a cash cow in and of itself, considering even the worst teams in the league make billions of dollars just from the television rights and the licensing alone of the jerseys and whatnot. So it's hard for anybody to say, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and give up that money. I'm good. So I ain't mad at Dan for saying, nah, they ain't going to force me out like that. But that being said, when you consider the overall product, he makes the league look bad. When you have an environment where you got sexual harassment and racial profiling and all the crazy things that said was going on in that organization, that's not something that you want to keep having promoted in the media. You already got enough problems dealing with the Deshaun Watsons and Antonio Browns of the world.
Yeah, man. It's just really surprised me to hear that because, like you said, he was one of the guys who was on thin ice, but he definitely hasn't been in the spotlight lately, man. He definitely been under the radar, and that's probably why he got back in their good graces. And I know he like, thank God the Snyder over there with the Commanders acting a fool because this gives me an opportunity, to slide between the cracks.
I'm a Colts fan, as I know, D. Irsay's supposed to be gone years ago. Yeah, like I said, you more familiar with that than even myself. But yeah, just based on what I know Irsay has done, yeah, he definitely ain't no choir boy over there. So when he is one of the people calling for you to come out and get out, yeah, that definitely indicates to me that, yeah, that needs to be done. And of course, he was like, well, no, Jerry, I ain't had nothing to say wrong about you. And Jerry Jones has a powerful voice among the owners in the NFL.
We're going to speak about that too, man, before we get into any of the games or any of the craziness that happened. Man, did you heard what happened in the meetings, man, the owners meeting just recently?
Well, that's
about him.
why Irsay came out and said what he said yesterday. As you know, the owners are having meetings right now. And that's one of the things. So keep in mind, this statement that Irsay made was after they met yesterday. So you kind of wonder what was said. I feel you. But yeah, go ahead, you.
Yeah, man. I believe what was crazy about it was well, it ain't even rumors, it's facts that the majority of the owners actually voted Commissioner Roger Goodell to get an extension. And he felt like he was basically betrayed by his good buddy, Robert Kraft. And he was one of the only ones out of the owners who voted against him staying in. So I think he was a little bit less.
You know they got issues with each other. They go back to Deflategate and everything else. Kraft don't want him there.
And that's when he was like, man, I heard him telling him, like, man, you don't want to F with me, Roger. He was like, Robert, you don't want to neither. So he basically was stirring up the pot, man, and it got real heated, like almost a tussling match between Kraft and Jerry Jones.
Well, see, you got to understand, much like with any corporation, much like with any social group, it's levels to this shit. Now you got your basic NFL owners, and then you got the big dogs. Now in the NFL, some of the big dogs is, of course, the owner of the Giants, the owner of the Lions, the owner of the Bears, of course, Jerry Jones. We talk about people that either own these teams for a long time. Pittsburgh's owner, the Moonies, they also some major players. So basically, when you have those owners going against you, everybody else kind of fall in line. because when we deal with the old boy network, they are the old boys in the old boy network. Granted, Chicago and Detroit being run by women at this point, but again, the Hallises and the Fords, they've been owners in the NFL for decades.
Because yeah, my cousin talked to me about that whole ordeal, and he showed me that, and I was definitely already on it and put that out there on the sport pages. But I told him, man, you got to understand, man, that they might have been talking behind closed doors and saying they want to get Roger Goodell out, which we heard that rumor a few years ago before they gave him his extension. And for that to happen, and I just feel like Jerry Jones didn't like the way everything went down. He was like, shit, man, heads gonna fly.
Well, they basically make Goodell the scapegoat at times, particularly when we go back to like the Deshaun Watson thing, for instance. Well, remember, it was them who decided we just gonna have a third party come in and determine what was in the best interest. And when they only gave him 6 games, and the blowback that came from that, basically it was Goodell who basically had to bite the bullet for the owner, saying, "Yeah, well, don't worry about it, we're gonna get another opinion." And then we come up with the whole 11-game thing.
Which I hated, man, because you guys can't put a third party in just to say, okay, we want to get their opinion and then we're going to verse ours. I thought that was just crazy to me. And that's why I'm surprised a lot of owners still sticking with Roger Goodell being the commissioner, because, him being a judge and a juror, man, I just feel like that's crazy because you see that nowhere else, man, in no other sport.
I mean, I found it crazy. I mean, just take last night, for instance. When they had the ring celebration in the NBA, we actually had the commissioner there, Adam Silver, and he got cheered. No other commissioner in sports gets cheered, especially not Roger Goodell. It's infamous now that when he starts off the draft, it's a big, loud, raucous boo because they don't approve of a lot of what he does in general.
A lot of things.
Hell, even the damn commissioner of the NHL gets booed when they do draft now.
That's why you got to respect what a basketball got in order right now. And I can't even argue right now when Charles Barkley and them talk about how he's the best, commissioner.
Without doubt, Adam Silver is definitely the best commissioner in sports. I definitely agree with that.
All right, E. Now I want to get into these wacky games, man.
All right, let's do it.
When Aaron Rodgers and the Packers struggles now, man, they're looking, and we already knew that they were looking for receivers out there, and they trying to get that help in free agency. You already know that Odell's name was mentioned in free agency, but then I know if they can't afford him or if they get priced out, which right now they're not trying to make any moves or anything to try to get him over there. They were actually talking about one name in consideration too is Chase Claypool.
Bottom line is they're not going to get cashed out for OBJ. Remember, they were actually going to pay Devontae Adams more money than he actually got from the Raiders to stay in Green Bay, and he turned it down. So we know they got the money available for OBJ. It's just, one, you have to question his overall health, and two, is he going to be enough to get you back where you need to be? I would like to think so, seeing that they play in a very weak NFC Central right now. Basically, it's them in Minnesota.
That's the only team they really got to worry about, honestly. I definitely feel like there's still a couple of good receivers that's out there that they could go after, too. Like we've already mentioned, like the DK Metcalfs and teams who are not doing well, who look like at the point of the trade deadline that they're going to have to, start probably being sellers versus buyers.
Right. Keep in mind, the Packers definitely not the only team that should be looking for receiver help. Definitely the Denver Broncos should be considering that as well.
Oh, man, we was just talking about how bad they were, man. That was just really a bad game on a Monday at that, man. When you tell me, or if you would have said he went to sleep on a Monday night game, man, that's definitely not necessary. But yeah, I woke up.
I'm sorry. Sunday night games, some of them have been outstanding this year. But these Monday and Thursday night games,
terrible.
I mean, what we got for tomorrow?
Tomorrow we got the New Orleans and the Cardinals with D-Hop making his appearance back.
Not so much. And we know next Monday we got the Patriots and the Bears.
That's the Monday too. I'll be damned.
I'm not so sold on watching the Zappy show. So yeah, not so good. Not so good.
With Lamar Jackson and offensive struggles is going on right now to keep the late leagues, will this affect his free agency stock?
Remember, Lamar bet on himself. That bet looked real good them first few weeks. These last couple, not so much. Lamar, I need you to take that advice from Aaron Rodgers. You're doing a little too much sometimes. We talked earlier in the show about hero ball. A lot of hero ball being played by Lamar Jackson in these fourth quarters these last couple of weeks. These were winnable games for the Ravens. Remember, when all else failed, you got the best kicker in the league by far. And tough. If you can just get enough drives to where you put him somewhere around the 50, you can score some points.
Say now, following that, man, are you gonna finally start putting some respect on the New York Giants name now?
New York Giants, yes. The Jets, not so much. I actually went back today and watched that Packers and Jets game. And the question I'm left with, is it that the Jets are getting better or the Packers getting that much worse? And I kind of went more, it was the Packers than the Jets.
I can see that. They do have a bright future with the guy, Bryce Hall.
Like I said, I definitely like the running game of the Jets, most definitely. They passed the attack. I wasn't overly enthralled with either.
Corey Davis been getting off too, man. Surprising enough to me too is the fact that Zach Wilson, man, he played the best back-to-back games he had in his NFL career so far.
And I still wasn't overly impressed with either one of them. He reminded me of that one year when Baker Mayfield was balling. We all thought, yeah, Baker made it. This is exactly what we gonna get. Baker ain't been the same since. I think ultimately that's what we're gonna be at with Wilson at some point.
When you said the two, do you mean Wilson and my man Daniel Jones, the New York squads?
Now understand, the Giants, they doing it despite Daniel Jones. Okay.
You know who? You know why?
It's a lot of bells and whistles going on. Keep in mind, Giants, they are playing some good defense. Gotta give them that. Definitely, Saquon Barkley is balling. He, outside of any of the quarterbacks, is an MVP candidate at this point. No doubt. But that being said, I'm looking at some of the opponents that the Giants got coming up, and they might mess around and keep winning. Remember, they still got to play the Lions. I think they still got to play the Bears. I think they played Jacksonville at one point. I can see them getting some more wins off this deal. They play the Commanders again. And now, especially with Wentz out, the Commanders ain't no telling what you're going to get out of them now.
With your boy Taylor.
Heineke in the building. That future all-pro according to him and Coach Wheel. Y'all show? You'll get your chance to find out.
All right, man. But Russell Wilson and the shoulder injuries, man. Is that more of, the Broncos struggles, or you just feel like you said, that they don't have a team around that man?
I think it's a combination of things. One, it's time for a new coach in Denver, y'all.
Have to get one.
Same feeling about that coach that I was getting from the pencil in that first year. After them first couple games, I was already get rid of pencil. Year one, I'm getting that same feeling in Denver. This guy supposed to be an offensive guru and whatnot. I don't see it. Second of all, I think Russ getting old, y'all. Either he getting old or he's starting to listen to some of them conversations that him and Sierra having about life after football. And it's really starting to be more about that. Russ out there pitching reality shows and working on production companies with his wife and stuff and doing business with LeBron James and all that. I think he got his money and he's pretty much thinking, I'm going to go ahead and ride out this contract and ride off into the sunset.
What I believe?
he ain't as hungry as he once was.
I believe a lot of that too had to do with Seattle and the struggles he had over there, and that's starting to affect him coming out now playing and with Denver. Man, that offensive line was just horrendous when he was playing in Seattle, and he was pretty banged up, man. And that was one of the issues that he had with your boy Pete Carroll, and that's the reason why he ended up going, west and going over there and playing with the Denver Broncos. So I feel like that has a lot to do with it. But as far as I didn't even know his shoulder was injured. We just thought he was playing bad football. But whenever he got that shot, he was playing good in the first half. But at the end of the day, like you said, they don't have enough weapons over there to accommodate.
And keep in mind now, we got to worry about Russ's hamstring as well. They say he had a hamstring injury. And that's part of why he played the way he played in the second half of that game. So now we got a couple injuries to be concerned with. But just like how we got the situation over there with the LA Rams, where I promise you, your boy Stafford is all kind of banged up and still playing. I think he wants to suck it up and see what he can get done too.
Speaking of, man, we looked into him and his injuries and stuff, man, and it's bad. They just lost one of their. I think they lost their left tackle right now. And it's not really looking good over there with them right now. I think that's what they should be looking at in free agency, man. And I know one of the big names right now that I know we're going to talk about too is one of the main guys everybody been talking about. Of course, they talking about your boy OBJ, but then it's another person they talking about too, and that's we've been talking about him the last 2 weeks our damn self. Was on Christian McCaffrey, man. I think he can fix a lot of issues, like of him going over to LA or definitely the Bills. I definitely feel like that'd be a sure thing if he went over there.
I think that'd be a great match, him and the Bills, to be quite honest. They get him more versatility in the running game, and then you can do a lot of trickery and hope and focus with that. I can see a play where you give McCaffrey the ball and he throw it to the big fella, and then the big fella go ahead and run it in for the touchdown.
I was actually bad, when they said one team. I said, dang, they already undefeated. You talking about him going to the undefeated Eagles? Like, no way. It'll be such a dangerous combination with him and your boy over there, man. I said, no, don't do that, man. Don't let him and Hurst.
I think if you basically get that, you get what Baltimore been trying to get for the last few years, where basically you could run it a variety of different ways.
Yep. Because it was a lot of teams they said who it was 5 teams that they were talking out there, but I was like, I definitely would like to see him, like you said, with those guys, man, those Bills, man, because I already still have them as the Super Bowl favorite, and I want to actually talk about that too, man. I was actually overly impressed with them for him. For one to go into Kansas City and for them to pull off that game, man. Do you think right now is Jalen Hurts the MVP or is it Josh Allen's to lose?
I still got to give it to Jalen right now. Bottom line is, you take him away from Philadelphia, they 500 at best. You take Josh Allen away from Buffalo, they still winning because they still got that damn good defense. So, I got to give Jalen the one up on that right now. Definitely, Josh Allen would be my number 2 choice, no doubt about it. But then, of course, you can't forget about Mahomes. He almost pulled it off again. He almost had him, man. Just that one little play. Man, if you look at that game, he had a lot of plays that you can keep them in that game. Mahomes is magic. He does things that no other quarterback in the NFL is crazy enough to do, is flexible enough to do, is talented enough to do. And as long as you got that dude at quarterback, you got a shot.
I think the only thing that hurt them as far as Kansas City, and it wasn't really I could say that what Patrick Mahomes did wrong. I think what hurt them was it was just that pass rush started to come and they were ferocious, man. And he had to hurry up one of those last throws when it came to them, like evening up the game, and that caused for the pick. You know, when quarterbacks are under distress, man, they either would panic or they're gonna throw the ball sooner than what they supposed to, and that's what happened. But I still seeing them doing some damage, and I don't really see no team over there in the AFC that's really going to do anything for or against them. Because I still feel
we're looking at the Bills and the Chiefs again in the playoffs this year.
I see.
This time we get that game in Buffalo. I think it's a whole nother story. Particularly that time of year. And we get a typical Buffalo day that day, it could get real ugly. Because keep in mind, a little known fact, Patrick Mahomes, since starting in the NFL, has yet to play a playoff game outside of the Super Bowl, outside of Chiefs Stadium. All his playoff games have been at Chiefs Stadium.
He usually get that home field advantage. And you know, with that crowd, man, at first it was Seattle who had the loudest, most ruckus crowd. Kansas City took that over, man, and they ran away with it.
I say they still neck and neck, truth be told. But that being said, speaking of home crowds and that Monday night game, what go on in LA? Let me ask you that if you're looking at this, Brother Tillman. I don't understand how every time they at home, especially the Chargers, you see all type of other jerseys in that building, that beautiful ass stadium with them expensive ass tickets. So you know people from out of town paying even more money. But yet you go to those games and you look to the crowd, it's Denver. How Denver get all them people in a LA crowd? Make it make sense.
All right, E man, I want to ask you about this too, man, because this was another wacky game that we looked at, man. Um, the Bucks being upset by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to ask your opinion. Is it time to push the panic button over there?
Man, it was just a crazy weekend in general. And that was just one of those games as well. But of course, with it being the Bucks, just like the same situation we got going on with the NBA, they are determined to stuff Tampa Bay down our throats every week. No matter whether they win or they lose, whether it's a blowout or not, we're going to be talking about Tampa Bay because we got to talk about Tom Brady every chance we get. Between the NFL Network and ESPN and hell TMZ, I done got tired of looking at Tom Brady, okay? I'm tired of talking about Tom Brady. If you listen to his podcast the last couple of weeks, it sounds like Tom Brady tired of talking about Tom Brady. It's ridiculous. And the fact that, yeah, we know clearly that this thing going on with his wife is affecting his play. It is, okay? He only human. But we also know they are not the team they were a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl. They are not the team they was last year. There are holes on that offensive line. There are holes in that defense. There are definitely holes when it comes to the offense. He can only do so much by himself at 45 years old. And all that came into play against them Steelers. Because you know the Steelers is not quite ready for prime time. Yeah, they got a damn good coach, but they are nowhere close to the Steelers that we used to see in these last few years.
Not whatsoever.
They should have whooped on them, but it didn't happen.
The one thing I know they're glad about now is they getting one of their right tackles back from the IR, and they're getting their all of their Pro Bowl center back. So
they just lost their number one tight end. So there's that.
Yeah, oh man, that was bad, man, because I think that shook everybody, man, because that guy messing up his neck on that play, man. And I looked at it too, like, well, they need to reevaluate that whole situation too. But yeah, he was out a week with the concussion protocol, and then when that happened, I was like, man, did they prematurely bring him back? It's kind of like the Tua thing all over again. But I didn't want to really too much in detail.
Grunt, is it you? I need you, baby. It's time, Grunt. Put a cord back. Come on back. Come on back. You know you ain't got to practice. I don't go to practice every day. You already know that. So come on back. I'm ready.
It's the perfect timing too, because you could tell that's one thing. I was just about to mention too, that about both players too. I know right now that your boy Aaron needs a number one wide receiver because he's missing Devontae Adams, vice versa. And you could tell that Tom Brady's not the same without Gronk, man. That's definitely been his security blanket and somebody who he could depend on. And it was sad when he was throwing passes out the backfield to Leonard Fournette.
Indeed.
I want to ask you this question too, man. I know you probably gonna say no, but do you still feel like now being 5-1, is that a team with the Minnesota Vikings that you could fear?
No. I still don't trust Kirk, man. I still don't trust Kirk. We know he is. We know he's streaky. We know this.
That guy could be.
Do it. Even in a weak ass division, I can't do
it. He could be dominant one game and then 4 picks in the next. He's so Jekyll and Hyde, man.
And win the NFC North by default because the Packers messing up, because the Lions don't have defense worth a damn, because the Bears don't have offense worth a damn.
And the offense.
Backdoor their way right up into some shit.
All right, E, man, you already know what time it is now, man. I want to get our picks, man. I want to do a rundown on both college football and I want to do the NFL. And I just want your random picks, man.
All right, let's go with it. Hopefully we do better than we did last week.
Mississippi State at Alabama.
Alabama will make their way back. You know they ain't going to lose 2 back-to-back games. Coach Saban going to be on their ass all day, every day up until game time. If anything, the question is how many points do they win it by?
I'd be surprised if they win by that 21. I don't got that, though.
I wouldn't.
Iowa versus Ohio State. I don't even want to talk about it because it's going to be a massacre.
If they, bottom line, Ohio State got that. Continue.
Then the number 3 ranked Tennessee versus UT Martin, man. I don't even know who the hell UT Martin is.
We had a discussion a couple weeks ago. I told you it is like a mandatory thing for all SEC teams to play a cupcake team in the middle of SEC season.
They play a lot of cupcake teams too during that season.
A couple weeks from now, when your boys play Austin Peay, who the fuck is Austin Peay?
I have no idea. I can tell.
For Tennessee this week.
Number 5, Clemson and Syracuse.
Now that's actually going to be a better game than you may think. Keep in mind, Syracuse, I do believe undefeated still, and Clemson, they've been winning, but not quite as convincingly as we are used to in the past. Yeah, exactly, Pride. It's Bishop Sycamore all over again. Yep, the UT Martins and Austin Peays of the world. Agreed. But I wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse mess around and win that game, considering everything that happened this year. I wouldn't even. But that's definitely gonna be a close game, I think.
Yeah, because DJ Uliangalale hasn't been playing up to what people thought that he should be after your boy left, Trevor Lawrence, man. That's a really shaky team. I think they're on borrowed time, too, in being in that top 5. Surprising enough, number 21 ranked Cincinnati versus SMU. I'm surprised because they
just snuck up on us, man. I thought basically after they got to the playoff last year, didn't do much, and then a lot of those good players they had went on to the NFL. I thought that was the last we was gonna hear from Cincinnati. But
you owe me. I think you owe me an apology on sauce too, E.
I still ain't ready to give you that apology on sauce yet. Again, I watched that game. He had a solid game, but who was he guarding? Lazard, the number 3 receiver at best. Let me
Can't
see
even
a real competition. Let me see him go up against number 88 for Dallas. Let me see him do something with Cooper Kupp. Let me see him shut down Justin Jefferson. Then I can talk about some sauce.
Okay.
Bottom line, he better than Toaster Strudel. I'll give him that. My boy.
Ole Miss, number 7 ranked. It's an SEC matchup too. Ole Miss versus LSU. The weird part is, I'm over here looking at my ESPN on my phone. Hell, they got LSU winning by 2 points. I definitely don't see that.
Keep in mind, it's in the LSU. Playing in Baton Rouge ain't easy. Much like going to play in Tennessee or in Alabama or at the Big House. That's why they got that. But that being said, you know, Kiffin, he coming there with the big payloads. He would love to knock off LSU. Because him and Chip Kelly, Kelly, they not friends. They definitely not friends.
And that's crazy too, because it is intimidating to go to Death Valley, man. I definitely agree with you on that. This is the 9 and 10th rank right here. UCLA at Oregon.
Well, if the Ducks gonna do anything this season, it's their chance. If they lose this one to UCLA, we can stop talking about Oregon the rest of the year.
I agree.
Any chance at any good bowl or to think about some playoffs down the line, they got to do something with UCLA. Bottom line is, I'm going with UCLA. Again, I like what Chip Kelly is doing with that squad and DTR and the boys and our former Wolverine, Charbonneau and all that. And they actually got some decent looking defense in there. Like I said, you know, I ain't high on Pac-12, but they starting to win me over a little bit. At least the UCLA's, Utah's, the USC's of the world.
Because UCLA look dominant, man. I definitely agree with you on that. Number 20, Texas versus number 11, Oklahoma State.
Next. I got Texas. Next.
Definitely ain't gonna talk that Boston College, Wake Forest. We're gonna leave that alone. Another interesting TCU versus Kansas State.
Next.
Okay.
Don't care. I do like that running back out of Kansas State, though. That dude Deuce, I like that guy. I like him a lot. He's gonna be good in the league. But that being said, you know how big he is.
It's Michigan on bye, so that's why you ain't heard nothing from me on them.
As is Michigan State, but they will play each other again next week. I need Michigan to stay woke. Don't just assume you're about to go in there and power drive Michigan State, because you know a rivalry game, anything can happen. So I need everybody to stay woke and don't be in the media and on your social media talking shit. It was a year just like this many years ago, where your boy Mike Hart stepped up to the damn mic and said, you know, it's like playing your little brother. And boy, was they not happy about that. And y'all all know what happened there. So we got
no.
Just go ahead and keep it quiet. Wait for them to come on to the big house and do what y'all do.
Man, another cupcake week in the NFL, but after what happened last week, man, I can't even really.
I would have to say, Hugh, I no longer want to hear that in your vocabulary this year when it comes to the NFL. If we have not learned anything these last few weeks, there's definitely clarity among the teams in the NFL. Any given Sunday to the fullest. Assume nothing. But
how do you feel about Dak Prescott making his comeback versus the Lions, man? That's a warm-up game for him.
1-6, and it's in Dallas. We about to take that.
You already taught me your take that the rebound is real, even in Carolina, and they have Tampa Bay up 11 points on that one.
Man, if Tampa don't beat Carolina, then the talk gonna get real loud and boisterous. They may even start talking about time. You sure you want to finish? You sure you don't want to just go home and try to work things out with Giselle? They don't beat the Panthers.
If that happens. All right, man. You got two teams that's going for the division right now. The Colts at Tennessee.
I don't know what to expect out of that game. You might mess around and get a good game.
They both play goofy at times.
Last week.
They play good games against each other too, E. That's the thing. You notice that, E? They usually have good ass games against each other every year, no matter how that division game right there is.
And we still wait for that one game where we finally get King Henry back. He still ain't quite back yet. But I say it's going to be one game soon where he bust out and get a couple 100 yards. This could be that game.
Yeah, because he definitely was on. He's still banged up from last year. I thought he prematurely came back.
I agree.
A surprising game too, man. A 2-3-3 teams, the Falcons and the Bengals.
I still got to go with the Bengals. I know they've been having some issues with their offensive line, and the defense ain't been quite as good as it was last year, but I believe in Cool Joe. I think he's going to get it together for him.
I can skip this game, but I already know what you're going to say because the Commanders definitely going to take an L against the Packers.
Next.
I'm going to pass this game, too, because I don't think the Jaguars have what it takes to beat the Giants.
Hold on there, homie. Wait a minute now. Now, we all saying that the Giants been winning, but it's been kind of...
You think that's a trap game?
This is definitely one of them games where I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville mess around and win, particularly since we've been dealing with what we've been dealing with the last few weeks in the NFL. That's a game. I wouldn't definitely make that as a team I would just straight up bet like, yeah, they got Jacksonville. Don't be so sure about that.
Okay, you got that one as a trap game. What about this? What about this Browns and Ravens game?
Well, keep in mind, they division rivals, so, you know, that give a little extra. But that being said, yeah, it's time for Lamar to get back on track. So I got to go with Baltimore in that one. I definitely see them running the ball more against the Browns because the Browns don't seem to have quite the run defense that they should. So I definitely say we get a lot more Lamar scrambling around, Dobbins doing his thing. And then, of course, Andrews will make his few catches as he always does. And I say they pull that out by about 7.
Yep, that's what they got him by, too. The Jets and Denver Broncos, they got Denver winning by a point at home.
I don't know what they're thinking on that one. We know Russ is banged up. He gonna play because Russ pretty sturdy like that. But that being said, based on what I've seen from the defensive Jets last week, I don't see how Broncos could win that, even at home. Again, I got to go with the Jets. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm saying it.
They're going to be 5-2, buddy.
Yeah.
Texans versus the Raiders. I definitely think the Raiders going to finally get another W.
Next.
Seahawks and Chargers.
What was that?
Seattle Seahawks and the LA Chargers.
I think that's going to be a better game than we think.
Geno been playing better than what I expected, too. I agree.
And the Chargers ain't quite in sync offensively like they was that first couple of weeks. Keep in mind, though, Keenan Allen is expected to come back in that game, and I definitely think that's going to matter. So I'm picking the Chargers to win, but I don't think it's going to be that easy a win.
Okay.
I wouldn't go with the points if I was y'all.
The good game right here, but I think that it's not going to be as good as we think because I still think San Francisco is a little banged up, and if Nick Bosa's not going to be in, it's not going to be as good of a matchup. But that being said, they have the Chiefs going to San Francisco, and they have the Chiefs only winning by 2.5. What are your thoughts?
I say they win that, and I say I take the points too. I see them winning that by touchdown. Bottom line is, ain't it crazy that both the Bosa brothers is out hurt yet again?
Man, it seems like that's something that they've been known for now, man, is they're injury prone.
Not just the Bosas. Remember, we have that issue with the Watt brothers too.
Man, the Watt brothers, I think, probably has been worse. But yeah, the Bosa brothers right behind them.
I would agree.
And it's still the Dolphin game. How do you feel about Tua coming back?
If Tua is anywhere close to healthy, now's the time to find out. Because remember, when all is said and done, Tua is still trying to get his money, which is why I think he played in the first place when he shouldn't have. So I definitely think if Tua is like 90, 95%, Tua going to go out there and show up and show out. Remember, he still got two of the better wide receiver weapons in football when you look at Waddle and the Cheetah. So yeah, I think they win that game, and I think he has a good game that game.
I still think that they will be, or they'll be one of the teams that have been reckoned with earlier this season if Tua could have stayed healthy, man. That's what I look at too, because I feel like a healthy Tua possibly could have got them to compete in that game with the Bengals. In some of the games they lost with the third string quarterback, I definitely think that they could have won.
I agree. I agree.
Anything else you got to add to that, E?
No, that's pretty much what I got for NFL this week. I
All
just
right.
say, y'all betting, I say bet light. Bet light, because it seems like it's a lot of sure bets in that, but we learned that lesson from last week, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely made me keep my tongue, keep my lips sealed, and have a situation where I just be a little more humbled because it was definitely a reality check. Right now, as far as in the ALCS game one, it's a pretty good pitching duo, man. It's 1-1 right now at the end of the fourth.
Well, I'm not surprised. I do believe Verlander's pitching for Houston, and you know he's going to have a good game. That don't surprise me at all. I'm curious to see who the Yankees have pitching. Let me check into that right quick as we look at the box score. They got Talion on the line for the Yankees, and he had a decent season for them. He has 4 innings and has walked 3, struck out none. I find that interesting. Aaron Judge, Stanton. Stanton got a hit so far, but nothing from Aaron Judge.
That's
Meanwhile, for Houston, Altuve's got a walk. Alvarez hasn't done much yet. Verlander looking strong though early on. 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. The 1 run he gave up, of course, was on a home run by Rizzo of all people, who actually hits Verlander pretty well.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, man. I'm gonna definitely keep my eye on this one, man, because I'm looking. Well, I still feel like I just feel like they too strong of a lineup for the Yankees. But it's what we've been seeing in baseball and in football, man. You never know. So I'm gonna look it up and just check in and see what happened. But on that note, too, man, I appreciate all the people who've been paying attention and going on my Pure to the Game blog. We get a lot of love and support, and people been chiming in on there and making it interesting for me, so I could put better stuff and more material out there. And I just like to thank all of you guys for the love and support. And I'm gonna try to continue to keep that page hot for y'all. And just if you have anything that you want to add on or any questions or something you want to talk about, feel free to hit me up on the page, and I'll definitely respond to it. That's one thing I do is try to interact with the people because I appreciate y'all's support.
Absolutely. And of course, next week, Gametime Audible, we'll be back to talking all the sports. We're going to give y'all a little talk about what's going on in college basketball, because that's about to start up soon. So we're going to look at the preseason top 20 and kind of give you our thoughts on that as we do a little research. And beyond that, of course, talk our usual football. We should be very close to the end of the ALCS and NLCS at that point. So we might actually even be able to give you a World Series preview at that point also. Nonetheless, that is that. And I feel like a lot of you sports fans are out watching the basketball and everything else. So we're about to join y'all in that and go watch our. So we will see you guys next week. As always, stay blessed, stay safe, and enjoy the games, y'all.
Yes, sir.
That being said, you know what to do. Throw the fingers up, homie. Throw them up, baby. We out.
Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk network.